Share the class. Clap it up. Shalom, Israel. We at Isupk started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander Junior. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group or organization, and what we do is teach the truth according to the Bible. And tonight is the Wednesday night, Salakia. Tuesday night, I'm a day ahead, Salakia. You know, time be flying. Tonight is the Tuesday night Brotherhood class. Every Tuesday we get it on with the Brotherhood, because that is what's going to get blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians out of this hell that we're in and all this oppression that we go through. You know, Brotherhood would relieve us from a lot of the stress if we understood how significant and how important Brotherhood truly is. You understand? Because our King Christ, Jesus, or Yahushua in the Hebrew, he taught Brotherhood perfectly, and he showed his disciples how to walk in Brotherhood perfectly. You understand? There is nowhere else in the earth outside of the Isupk where you're going to understand and walk in Brotherhood perfectly. So with that being said, man, that give Alabama a hand. You understand? Those people that were down there that helped that brother, I believe the brother was actually, they thought he was a security guard, but he was actually the captain of the ship, one of the ships that was you know, trying to dock, and those oppressors were giving them a hard time. So I believe, if I'm correct, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that brother was actually a captain on that ship. And, you know, if you've seen the whole incident, I mean, it's, you know, beyond viral. I mean, people have been sharing that thing every day since it happened a couple of days ago. People have been sharing it all day, every day since it occurred, since it happened. And one of the beautiful things that we noticed in Isupk, for one, that it was black people who actually stopped the crime from being committed. Something we rarely see in our communities. Black people stopping the crime that happened to someone that looks like them. You understand? Now, that's true Brotherhood. That takes guts. That takes kahunas. You understand? Something that we haven't learned inside the Christian church. That's why we submit to weakness. When we're Christian, we're just submitting to something that's weak. We're submitting to something that's passive. We're submitting to something that doesn't feel right, but we've been told and taught that is right. Like, just like the Civil Rights Act, Civil Rights movement. We was taught to be passive and not fight for our brothers and sisters. And in due time, you know, that pattern continued, and we just kept doing the same thing over and over and over. You understand? Bottom John, some oppressor can kick inside his door and claim that she walked inside the wrong house, and some strange man is eating a bowl of ice cream on a couch that doesn't look like hers. I'm pretty sure the apartment didn't smell like her apartment. I'm pretty sure when she walked in and seen the decor that it wasn't her apartment. But for some reason, our oppressor has a bloodlust. Well, I know the reason is biblical, for one. Our oppressor has a bloodlust, you know, against God's chosen people. You understand? As a matter of fact, let me pull something real quick so we can understand how important it is for us to separate from the so-called white man. You understand? This is Genesis chapter 25, verse 23. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb. But anybody who hasn't heard this story, this is talking about Isaac and Rebekah, his wife. You understand? She didn't have any children. And in her old age, the Lord said that you're going to have these children. And he told her before these children were born, you know, what was going to happen or what was up with these 2 children. Now, if you understand what the Isupk teaches, which is biblical inside the Bible, that black, Latinos, and Native Indians, God's chosen nation of people, come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You understand? So we're God's chosen people, but we also had a brother at the time, a twin brother at the time, who was named Esau. And Esau is the progenitor of the so-called white man. Whether he's Italian, whether he's Spaniard, whether he's Russian, whether he's Ukrainian, whether he's American. You understand? Esau is the progenitor of all the white races. That's why you seen so-called blacks out there in Alabama who were defending another so-called black man, which is Brotherhood, which is biblical, by the way, which is something we should be doing all the time. I'm going to get back into that in a second after I break this down. And it was a so-called white man, Esau, or the Edomites. You understand? Who God didn't choose, who God didn't love, who God didn't want to rule the entire earth. But because of our disobedience, because we didn't love the Most High God with action and not just with our word, we didn't love the Most High God with our deeds. The Most High God allowed the curses that are written in the Bible to consume blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. Because without the Most High God, man, we have no power. And if we don't have any power, that means we're going to follow any other power that will lead us. We're going to see fit for other powers that lead us, even if it destroys us, even if it kills us, even if it hurts our children, even if it separates us and we don't have brotherhood. We're going to follow a power because we didn't follow the power of our own. You understand? And that's why it's important that we come back and learn our true culture and learn what it is to serve the Lord and learn our identity. You understand? Now let me get back to what the Bible was saying about us being separated and separate nations, man. Genesis chapter 25, verse 23. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. So the Lord, this angel told Rebecca, you understand, that you're going to have these two children. And out of these 2 children are going to come 2 nations. Out of these 2 children are going to come 2 nations of people. And the Bible said that, 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. So 2 manner of people, meaning 2 manner of people means we're going to act 2 totally different ways. This nation acts this way and this nation acts this way. You understand? But in the context, this son is going to act this way and this son is going to act this way. And they're going to be separated based off their mannerism. You're going to know exactly who they are. Let me keep reading. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people. So you take a look at that incident in Alabama. You understand? You look at blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, and you compare us to any other nation. It's not hard to see who the stronger people is. It's not hard to see who the stronger people are. And it's not just based off, physical attributes. It's not based off because we have the best people in the NBA who could slam dunk from the free throw. Or we have the best people on the soccer field who could kick a soccer ball all the way down the field. It's not based off because we got the best arms in the major leagues. It's not based off that. We are the better, sports. We are the better, physically built because of our genetics, because God chose us. We are better in every single way. You understand? But that's not all what makes us better. What makes us better is because we were chosen by the Most High God, for one. The Most High God chose us above all these other nations, and He gave us a culture that is His own. So who wouldn't be better embracing the culture of the Most High God? The Bible is our culture. That makes us better than anybody off the strength of that alone. The Most High God chose us to be better. You understand? He chose us to be stronger. He chose us to be the salt of the earth. You understand? So we know who the stronger nation is. Look how much we've endured through since we've been bought here in slavery. Look how much we endured through since the Spanish conquistadors have, came and slaughtered and oppressed our Isukkarites or the Mexican brothers and sisters. Look how strong we are to have to endure through the, through the Trail of Tears and all the Native Indians being exterminated, and they have holidays based off them unaliving Native Indians called Thanksgiving, and it's thrown in their face every year. But here we are. Here we are, still God's chosen people. The Most High God still loves us over our oppressor, over our enemies, and He chose us for a reason. We just have to figure out that we're God's chosen people. And once we come to that, we can start figuring out the reason that we're in this captivity. And it's simple. It comes from disobedience and poor leadership from the Christian church and our oppressor, who is the so-called white man. You understand? Who is the devil that the Bible speaks of. That's why we're in these conditions. Not because they're better. Not because we're worthless. Not because we're just some niggas or wetbacks and spicks. Not because of that. Not because of the propaganda they push on us to make us believe that they're better than us, or black people, Hispanic and Native Indians are just criminals. Not because of that, man. You understand? It's because they conspired against God's chosen people, like it says in Psalms 83. They conspired against us. You understand? This just didn't happen by, the way of luck. Your oppressor planned for this to happen. And because of piss poor leaders and piss poor black, Hispanic, and Native Indian leaders, we think that they're better. We think that their way of living is better. We think that they're civilized, and we blame ourselves for all our conditions, man. We blame ourselves for all the conditions that we're in, and we're not to blame for the conditions that we're in. We didn't blame. We didn't go and make kilos of cocaine. We don't have boats. We don't have planes. We don't own trains. We don't own a military. I don't care how good of a drug dealer they say we are. I don't care how many episodes we watch of American Gangster and we glorify Big Meeches and Pablo Escobars. That is not our culture. We learned that from our oppressor. Our oppressor taught us to sell drugs, and we embraced it because we want to be like the so-called white man. Then, with propaganda that they push on us, they changed cultures. They stole our culture. They moved in our homeland, and we embraced their culture as drug dealers, as whores, as prostitutes and pimps, when that's not our culture at all. We rap about it all on our hip-hop songs. We're rapping about white culture. We're glorifying white culture. That is not your culture, white brother. That is not your culture, sis. Your culture is brotherhood. Your culture is the laws and statutes and commandments in the Bible. Your culture is loving culture is loving one another, loving the Most High God, being obedient to the Lord, not treating your sisters like whores, not getting high on your oppressor's drugs, not selling drugs in your community, destroying each other. We can't continue to destroy each other. You want to know why? Because it's forbidden in the Bible, and it's not our culture. It's not our culture to destroy each other. But when we don't follow God and we follow someone else's culture, guess what? We kill ourselves. We unalive ourselves. We cause destruction on ourselves, because that's exactly what someone else's culture is going to do. Their culture benefits them. Our culture benefits us. We serve the God of the Bible. Their God is not the God of the Bible. Their God is money. Their God is drugs. Their God is violence and anything vain that does not line up with the Bible. That's not our God, man. And we got to start acting like it and come back to this body. Come back to our laws. Come back to the Most High God before we think we're going to get any type of motion or traction here on this earth. We're not going to get any. You want to know why? Because we don't serve God. You understand? So, like, before I move on from breaking this down, let me check the chat. I said I was going to get better with that. If brothers and sisters want to have any questions, have any comments, just type them in the chat. You understand? But yeah, let me get back to this in Genesis, the 23rd chapter. So, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people. I already established that the stronger people is talking about blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. From everything physical to everything that we've been through in this earth. You understand? We're just better. And the elder shall serve the younger. Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. Verse 25. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. So the first one came out red like a hairy garment. You understand? The hairy garment is, I believe it's in Exodus. You can find the precept on the hairy garment that it's talking about, because they used to make the tops of the, they used to use, matter of fact, I just won't just only say it's talking about the tents or the top of the tents, how they used to use the garment of this dye to dye it red. You understand? But it's talking about the color of Esau, the color of the so-called white man. He came out red like a hairy garment. The color red is because our oppressor is red. They're not white. You understand? They're not white, and just like we're not black. We're different shades of brown, and he is red. You see a newborn oppressor baby, what color they came out? They come out, especially when they cry, especially, you know, when they're in the sun, especially when they blush, they turn red. You can see straight through their skin. You can see the blood through their skin because they are red. They are the red man of the earth. You understand? So the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them, talking about his rib. Isaac was 80 years old when she bare these children. You understand? So it said the younger is going to be Salakia, and the elder shall serve the younger, what it said in verse 23. So Esau was the firstborn, Jacob was the secondborn. And if you know anything about Israelite customs, the firstborn usually is the one who gets the inheritance, is the one who is usually the father's, you know, favorite, or the one who gets the blessings. The firstborn is usually the stronger. So the Bible told the wife that the younger was the stronger. The younger was going to serve, the younger is going to be ahead of the elder. You understand? But that's Hebrew or Israelite culture, that the older or the elder is the one who gets the inheritance, the one who gets, you know, the rights to his father. That's typically how it goes. But it didn't go like that in this case. You understand? Let me keep reading. And after that, and after that, I'll read it again. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old, and when she bare them. Now, peep this. Pay attention to this. You see how it gave a description of Esau? He came out red like a hairy garment. It's not saying that he was hairy. You understand? He came out red like a hairy garment. He could have been hairy too, because, you know, a lot of oppressors are really hairy. You understand? But it didn't give a description of Jacob, because he looked like everybody else. Esau, you got to remember, Esau is the first so-called European on the earth at this time. This is the birth of the so-called white race right here. This is their forefather. He looked different. He came out red. Jacob came out a shade of brown like all of us come, whether he was light-skinned or dark-skinned. We've always been different shades of brown in the Bible. What we suffer from is colorism, especially Judites. Judites suffer from colorism probably, you know, worse than any other tribe. You understand? But we all suffer from it. All 12 tribes suffer from it. So, verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. Now, this is, you know, if this ain't spiritual, I don't know what is. We all know the Bible says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. I mean, what do oppressors do in their pastime? What is one of the things that they love to do in their pastime? They have a deer hunting season. They have they go poaching all year round. They love killing and being in the field. And, you know, they have all these survival shows where they like to just survive and be in the field and hunt and kill. This is an attribute of the so-called white racist forefather Esau, that the Lord said that what? In verse 23, he said that, oh, Salakia, not verse 23. There were going to be two, verse 23. There were going to be two manner of people, and they should be separated from thy bowels. So these are two manner of people. Esau liked to hunt and be in the field, and Jacob was a plain man and liked to be dwelling in the tents. He liked to chill. You understand? We like chilling at the crib. Ain't that what we used to say? Hey man, what you doing? Your homie, oh man, I'm just chilling. I'm in the crib today, man. I'm chilling. Most brothers just like to be in the crib and just chilling. You know what I mean? We like dwelling in the tent like our forefather. We don't like being out on the field all the time, killing and hunting and, trying to think of, rubbing manure on us so we can be, the best hunter we can be. Laying in ditches for days, waiting on the perfect kill. That's not us, man. I'm not saying that brothers don't go hunting and brothers, shouldn't learn how to hunt. That's not what I'm saying. But we don't look forward to being in the field for 3 weeks at a time, smelling like manure and dead animal guts for the perfect shot. But that's our oppressor. You understand? Verse 28. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. You understand? So, if you keep reading the story, you can read it later on, and it goes into how Jacob got the birthright and not Esau. You understand? It goes into that. So, back to the brothers and sisters in Alabama, you seen Jacob, or the tribe of Judah, and probably different other tribes. You seen Israelites, just to be safe, because I don't know the brothers and sisters what tribe they're from personally, but you seen Israelites, and then you see the tribe of Esau, the Edomites. You understand? Two nations was in the womb. Is there any more on that I could? Matter of fact, let me keep reading. Verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. You understand? I skipped down a little bit, but Jacob was cooking like some stew. You understand? And the meat that Esau saw in the pot, he wanted, and it wasn't done. Just another clue of who the oppressor is, or who Edom is, or Esau. We like our food well done. We're not quick to just eat something because it been on the grill for 2 seconds and we just starving and we're just ready to eat. We don't think like that. You understand? My daughter, my oldest daughter, she's been, enjoying steak. She likes steaks. She likes when I cook her steaks. She said my steaks are the best, which they are, Salakia. But I can cook a pretty good steak. But she don't want to see no pink in her steak. You go to like all these oppressors like Gordon Ramsay, you go to all these fancy restaurants, they're going to try to, you're going to see a steak and it's going to look like the damn thing is going to jump off the plate a lot of times because they rarely cook it. Now, I can go medium well. I could do medium well, you know what I mean? But I don't like too much pink in my meat neither. I prefer my steak well done and seasoned and delicious. You understand? But I can do a medium well. You understand? I believe it's even lawful to go a little lighter than that. But our oppressor wants to see, he wants the blood. There's so many pictures of the so-called white man eating raw meat and eating brains and just in the field being a caveman like, his forefathers. But anyway, he wanted that red pottage, and he said, and Esau said unto Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. 31. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. Verse 32. And Esau said before, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do unto me? So I'm talking about, he sold his birthright for a piece of undone meat and said, what the hell is this going to profit me? Like he couldn't wait a little bit longer for the food to be done. And that's why that's why God said that we're stronger. everything that we had to endure through as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, as starving as we were in slavery, we would never eat the red pottage. We would wait. We would wait. You understand? As much as they deprived us from our culture, we still are better than our oppressor in any type of way. Look how much we've overcome. Look at the incident in Alabama. Look at that for a second. We are not going to just be violent towards so-called white people just because. If someone came and told us to move the boat, I mean, yeah, sisters may get a, brothers may get a little attitude, but we're not just going to go jump somebody because they told us to move the boat, because they're about to try to park this shit and you need to get out the way. Even if we don't like it, we don't attack, and we don't have pride, and we don't think that we're better because of simply just who we are. Even though the Bible says that we are better, we don't think it. We're a much more kinder and humbler people naturally. The only reason we are in these conditions is because we're being oppressed. The only way, or the reason we're thinking the way that we're thinking, and it's all this black on black crime, and we do violence, is because of poverty and oppression. Don't believe the propaganda. Your oppressor created the poverty. Your oppressor put the drugs in the community. Your oppressor took away your identity and oppressed us for over 500 years. And then they want to blame us for the conditions that we're in. And then we turn around and blame each other. And then what happens? Something like this happens. And of course, it's going to be other sellout black people just going to say that, what were they thinking? They didn't have to do them like that. When in Isupk, our stance is that was glorious in the sight of the Most High God. That was glorious in our sight, because it displayed brotherhood, and they were protecting their brother, something we rarely see today being done anywhere. But like I was saying, we're better than our oppressor, man. We just wouldn't eat the red pottage because we're stronger. We have endured through so much, man. We haven't endured through so much, and we still treat the so-called white man with respect as if he deserves it. And he doesn't deserve our respect. He doesn't deserve our loyalty. He doesn't deserve us fighting in their wars. He doesn't deserve us, representing America and building America and trying to show patriotism to America. They don't deserve that, because they have beaten us down like dogs for thousands of years. Racism isn't over, and this situation in Alabama is a prime example, man. This is a prime example. And before you say that it's not all white people, it is. Because they represent this nation. And this is what this nation was built off of. And they haven't recompensed, or they haven't been charged. They haven't been charged for any of the crimes they have done to us. They just want us to forget about it. They want us to sweep it under the rug. But situations like this, man, when we are able to defend our brothers and sisters and come together in brotherhood, we show exactly why brotherhood is a weapon. That situation that happened down there shows how brotherhood is a weapon, how brotherhood saves lives, how brotherhood has to have unity, how you have to have pride in yourself, in your nation, and most importantly, you have to have pride in your power, the Most High God, and serve Him. Brotherhood moves mountains, man. And we got a glimpse of true brotherhood the other day with those brothers and sisters coming to defend that 65-year-old man. And I just want to big them up again, because we rarely see it, man. We rarely see it. We see it in here in Isupk all the time. But it's rare that you see acts like this being displayed or even shown throughout the earth, man. It's rare that we see that. But it was beautiful and glorious in my sight, because it's rarely seen. You understand? Hey, sis, Shalami, how was Shamala, Thaba, Shemya, Shah, Shapala? How you doing, sis? You understand? It's rarely being seen today, us coming together, us standing up for each other, us not tearing each other down. It's rare. And it's not our fault. It comes from oppression. You understand? It comes from oppression. So Esau said, what is this porridge? Like, what is it going to do me if I'm dead? Because he's such a weak person. They're such a weak nation. They don't know what it means to die for something greater than their own. You understand? Why sell your birthrights? You understand? When you could have everything the Lord had intended for you if you wanted it. But the Lord is not going to choose anyone that is weak. And let that be a lesson for us. The Lord wants us to be strong in our belief. He doesn't want us to be weak like our oppressor. He doesn't want us to give in to our lust like our oppressor. He doesn't want for us to just serve any other God or serve whatever makes us feel good or whatever makes us happy like our oppressor. The Most High God wants us to be strong. He wants us to earn our birthright, not for it to be given to us, man. He wants us to earn our birthright. Esau didn't earn it, and he wasn't even chose for the birthright to be given to him because he was weak, and because he was a different nation, and because Esau, according to the Bible, is the end of the world, and he's going to serve us. And Barakatah Yahweh Wa Yahweh Shah for that, because those oppressors, you understand, you finally got to see some justice from the Lord. That judgment came from the Lord. Those oppressors getting hit with those chairs, those oppressors getting all those hands and feet put on them, that judgment came from the Most High God, man. You understand? You got a glimpse of what's going to happen in the future when our King Christ Yahweh Shah comes and reestablishes, what's the word I'm looking for? Leadership and authority of the kingdom of heaven by the way of him, and given to blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, man. You seeing a glimpse right there. You just got a glimpse of the judgment that our oppressor, and that wasn't nothing. That wasn't nothing. But it was beautiful in my sight. It was beautiful in my sight, man. All right, let me keep reading. All right, verse 33. So Jacob said, "Sell me this day your birthright." Esau said, "Man, what the hell with that birthright? What is it going, how is that going to benefit me? And I'm starving. I need some food right now." You understand? And Esau said, "Behold," so like in verse 33. And Jacob said, "Swear to me this day." And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Verse 34. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage and lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So he despised his birthright. He didn't want it no damn way. He wasn't willing to not starve and feed his stupid face just until the food got done. He said, "The hell with that," because he's weak. And remember this: next time we decide to marry a so-called white woman, next time we decide to marry a so-called white man, that's a sign of weakness. You understand? That's not brotherly or sisterly at all. Why go and marry someone who is not as strong as you? Because we don't want to earn our birthrights. We want the easy way out. We want to be, we want God to hold our hands like they teach us in the Christian church. Hold our hands no matter what we do. Everything's going to be all right. You can't be weak and serve the Lord. Because the Most High God, matter of fact, let me get this. Let me get this, man. Let me get to my notes real quick. Give me 1 second. Oh, here they go. Salakia. Alright, we're going to go to the book of Exodus, chapter 15, verse 3. Because the Lord is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. So the Lord is a man of war. You understand? So you have to go to war even with yourself. Like something that is easy for us to understand in the Isupk, because we have been trained to be priests and prophets of the Lord. We understand what it means that life is about war and nothing else. From the time that we wake up in the morning, everything wants to kill us. Everything wants to separate us from the Most High God. Every video you watch on TikTok, every advertisement you see throughout during the day, your family wants to separate you from the Most High God. You're going to get invited to birthdays. You're going to get invited for this. You're going to get invited to that. From the time you wake up, you are at odds with serving the Lord. You are at odds with living. From the time that we wake up. And that's why we understand in the Isupk that life is about war and nothing else. Because you have to go to war to fight those lusts. Because the Bible says the Most High God is a man of war. The Most High God understands that what it is to, fight and to be dominant in your fight. He wants us to be dominant in our fight. He wants us to be dominant in the choices that we make to serve him. He doesn't want anybody weak. How can he use us if we're weak? How can the Lord use us if we get high? How can the Lord use us if we're sleeping with each other's wives? How can the Lord use us if we're destroying ourselves and selling each other drugs? How can the Lord use a whore? How the Lord gonna use a drug dealer? How can the Lord use us when we despise our birthrights like our oppressor, Esau? How can the Lord use us and we're serving other gods? We're serving a so-called white man. How can the Lord use us? That's the questions that we have to ask ourselves every day from the time that we wake up. How can I be a better brother? How can I be a better sister? How can I serve the Lord? You can be perfect. It's possible. It's possible. Our King Christ showed us how to be perfect. He showed us how to walk in humility and humbleness and brotherly love and sisterly love. He showed us how to walk that walk. He didn't just talk the talk. Unlike your Christian pastor, unlike T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollar, Christ actually walked the walk. And he showed the disciples how to walk the walk. And you can learn how to walk the walk in here in the Isupk under Commander General Hana. It's perfect in here. I see perfect brothers and sisters all the time. Perfection starts with us, for one, being chosen. For two, having brotherhood, having sisterhood. And three, loving God with action. That's how you be perfect, man. Don't tell nobody, don't let nobody tell you can't be perfect. Don't let your mama say you can't be perfect. Don't let your daddy say and your sisters and brothers. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. When in the Bible it says, be ye therefore perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. The Lord didn't tell you nothing you couldn't bear or do. You understand? He didn't give us things that we couldn't handle. We just have to stop being weak. We just have to stop making excuses. We have to stop being Christian. We have to stop being in the IUIC. We have to stop destroying ourselves, and we have to stop breaking God's laws. That's how you become perfect, by not making excuses, keeping God's laws, having brotherhood, having sisterhood, because for one, a lot of times we think that we can do it ourselves, and we're never going to be able to do it ourselves. Never. There's no personal relationships with God. You understand? There's no personal relationships with God. You have to have brotherhood. It's necessary in order to build a nation. You can't build a nation alone. You can't build a nation. We not going to come together, right? If you over here building a nation and I'm over here building a nation, we're going to be going two different ways. The objective is to come together as one nation. Put all our stupid differences to the sides. The Crips got to stop hating the Bloods. The Bloods got to stop hating the Crips. The younger generation has to stop hating the older generation. The older generation has to stop hating the younger generation. Sisters have to stop hating their husbands. I mean, I can go on about the hate in the so-called black community. But in the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1, let me get that. Let me get that real quick. Let me pull that real fast. This is what the Bible says we should do. Not what Elisha wants us to do. Not what Commander General Hana wants us to do. And we do want that to be done. Because that's what our King Christ wants to be done. Hold on. Okay, I'm not seeing my... Okay, here we go. Zephaniah chapter 2 verse 1. And it says, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Gather yourselves together. This is talking about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. This is not talking about gathering with the so-called white man, gathering with the Chinese, gathering with the Africans, gather with the Arabs, gather with the Japanese and the East Indians. Guess what? Guess what America has been trying to do for, 400 or 500 years? Gather each other, gather everybody together. And how is that working for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians? Anybody want to take a guess? How is that working for us? Is that making us come together better with each other? Are we coming together stronger? Are black people putting their differences to the side? Or are we separating ourselves more? And if you're honest with yourself, you'll see that we are more divided when we try to come together with other nations. That's why the Bible said, gather yourselves together. You can't bring the white man. You can't bring the Chinese. You can't bring the Arabs because they already have a culture. They already have, they already listed in the League of Nations. But, what is niggas? I mean, who's going to defend the niggas? Who's going to defend the Mexicans? Who's going to defend the Native Indians? You understand? We have to depend on other nations to defend us. Nah, man. Aren't we tired of that? Haven't we seen what happened to Mike Brown? Haven't we seen what happened to Trayvon Martin? They said the sister Sandra Bland hung herself with a goddamn trash bag in her cell. Aren't we seeing what happened to that brother in Alabama? Those oppressors tried to jump him. We are constantly being oppressed, and when we are Christian and when we think that we're going to vote, none of that is going to change the conditions of black people, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Nothing has worked that we have tried for all these hundreds of years. Martin Luther King, we talk about that brother's dream all the time was a nightmare. It didn't work. Nothing is going to work. The hell we're talking about, we got to take the good with the bad. The hell we're talking about, well, we got to choose lesser of two evils. Why not choose no evil? Why not come together, serve God, put our differences to the side, and build the nation that will make us stronger to eventually inherit the kingdom of heaven? To me, that's like music to my ears. Hell, if I was a Crip, I'd be like, man, I'm dropping my flag today. If I knew I'm going to get the kingdom to heaven tomorrow, man, I'm dropping my flag. You understand? It's not going to be that easy. It's going to take some work because the Most High God is a man of war. He wants to see us go to war for the things that he wanted for us. He's just not going to give it to us. You understand? Just imagine if you are some multi-millionaire, which this happens a lot, and, you're just going to give a bad father would just give his son everything. He would just leave his son everything. His son is irresponsible. He sleeps with hoes. He's going to be broke in 5 years, and you know that, and you're going to leave him everything. You're not going to test him. You're not going to challenge him. You're not going to make sure that he's going to leave the legacy to his kids or the fortune to his kids. You're just going to let him. You're just going to let the money just all go, and everything that you earn and establish, you're going to give it to him, and he's a brat. He doesn't respect anything that you say. He doesn't follow any of your rules. You're going to give him your fortune. You're going to give him your kingdom. That child right there. Nah, man. I'd rather just go have another child who's going to listen. I'm going to choose the child that's going to listen to me, and therefore I'm going to leave it to him. Because this child obviously understands what going to war means for the legacy of his father. And that's what blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, that's what we have to understand as a nation, man. The sooner we understand, the better. But like the Bible says in Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1, gather yourselves together. You understand? Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. And that's a funny thing. It's telling us to gather ourselves together, but under the same breath, it's telling that we're the nation not desired. What other nations do not desire blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians? And we've been taught to not even desire ourselves from these other nations. But we're not desirable by so-called white people. We're still trying to prove to white people that we are, that Black Lives Matter. It's 2023, and I still see Black Lives Matter flags and signs on people's lawn. I thought all that was over with. I thought that, Black Lives Mattered a long time ago. You understand? But if we're going to be, honest with ourselves, or if we're just not so polluted and brainwashed by American culture and this dream that Martin Luther King sold us, and just having our nose so far up the oppressors behind, they call those brown noses, like a lot of sellouts, like Clarence Thomas and that sister that said that, I forget the sister's name, and down there in Florida that got rid of the, that helped got rid of the, where we can't teach slavery in the schools anymore, and she was happy about that. She was happy that she could go through slavery, right? Because she wouldn't, in her silly mind, this sister said she's happy that she went through slavery because, slavery allowed her to be a Christian. Otherwise, she would be in Africa worshiping a tree somewhere, when Christianity is the #1 religion in Africa. You didn't have to go through slavery to become a Christian. Your oppressor was going to go conquer everywhere any damn way, and you were going to become a Christian regardless. We didn't have to go through slavery. But because we rebel, and because of sisters like that, we are in the conditions that we're in today. We're slaves. We're Christian. We are unaliving each other, and our children are protected, and we're the first fired, last hired, and we go through tons and tons and tons and tons of curses, and we still haven't learned. And that's why the Bible says, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desire. We're that undesirable nation. The so-called white man doesn't desire us. We will never be equal to him in his kingdom. We will never be equal to him in his kingdom. I mean, what are we thinking? What are we thinking, man? We're going to be equal to the so-called white man in his kingdom? What makes us think that? What makes us think that, man? You want to know what makes us think that? Because we trust in the so-called white man. We trust in the so-called white man. We trust in their philosophy. We trust in their religion, which is Christianity. And we trust in the horrible decisions that piss poor black leaders make. You understand? We trust in those decisions. And those decisions have led to death. And this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10. We trust in them, what the Bible tells us to never trust in them. And this is Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. You understand? Like those brothers and sisters in Alabama. They knew exactly who the enemy was that day. They knew exactly what to do that day. You understand? Barakatah Yahweh wa Yahweh Shah for that. They understood exactly who the enemy was that day. That young brother, give that brother a hand. Give Aquaman a hand. You understand? That young brother, that 16-year-old that swam across that water and went up there and defended his brother. I mean, it was so glorious, man. Because today, I mean, damn, I mean, you see the average teenager today, all they do is dance and wiggle. Dance and wiggle and shimmy and look like a star boy or look like a, a feminine young man. Here you got this young brother, man. He swam across the water ready to go defend his brother at the age of 16. You Christians can learn something from this young brother, man. You Christians can learn something from this young brother. He's not on TikTok. Well, I don't know if he's on TikTok. But he wasn't dancing and doing challenges that day. You understand? He showed some integrity that day. He showed he could be a brother that day. I still haven't seen that in the Christian church. I still haven't seen brotherhood like that in the Christian church. You know what happens in the Christian church? What happens in the Christian church is a so-called white man, a so-called white boy, by the name of Dylan Storm Roof can come inside your church, load up his gun, and unalive 9 innocent black people, and you're going to pray for that oppressor. You're going to pray for their oppressor instead of protect the brothers and sisters' lives who were lost in the church. There's no way he should have been ever to unalive 9 innocent people. They were prayer warriors inside their Christian church when Dylan Storm Roof went inside and attacked those innocent people, which was a sad and tragic event. I'm not glorifying their deaths at all. But there were a bunch of prayer warriors in there. And those prayer warriors did nothing courageous like that 16-year-old in Alabama that swam across that water and went and defended a brother. He risked his life to defend God's chosen people. He risked his life because he seen a brother that he knew, and he knew that was the right thing to do. He didn't pray. He didn't sit there and pray that the Edomites stop fighting and jumping on that 65-year-old man. He swam across the damn water, got up there, and put hands on those oppressors so he could defend his brother. Like General Muhammad said, man, we need more warriors and less prayer warriors. Damn the Christian church, man. Damn the Christian church. Because they're still praying for Dylan Storm Roof after 9 of my brothers and sisters died under the watch of horrible leadership. Damn the Christian church, man. Salakia. But let me read this, man. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemies. That's what their Christian church should have understood. They should have understood that you shouldn't let, if a UPK, if some oppressor comes to a UPK cookout, if they come to any class, they're not getting in. It's as simple as that. They're not getting in. No, you can't come into class. No, you can't come to our barbecues. You can't come to our cookouts. No, devil. No, because it's not for you. We're not trying to gather together with you. We ought to remain separated. Does that mean we have to be disrespectful? No, that just means that we prefer our own. We choose us first. We don't choose or put them first. We put each other first. We put our brothers and our sisters first. And that's why the case down there in Alabama, man, was so beautiful. Because they stopped the crime that was happening to their brother. You understand? And everybody was amazed that black people stopped the crime. They stopped the crime. Those were some vicious and vile and disgusting oppressors to try to jump on that brother because he simply is doing his job. Simply doing his job. How many times have you been at work and some oppressor, some devil is giving you mouthfuls? You know, I mean, you see all the Karens. All these Karens in every corner of the earth that are just starting shit, starting stuff for no damn reason. Look, you got your day coming, Karen. And that was a glimpse of it right there. I know a lot of oppressors. Ooh, I wish I could read the mind of a lot of oppressors right now. Hey, you can. I'm telling you, oppressor, if you a so-called white man or woman, look, let me know how you feel. I want to know how you feel. I can only imagine how you feel, and it's not going to change how I feel. I think it was glorious. It was judgment from the Most High God, for one. It was judgment from God. You understand? So that young brother realized who his enemy is, and we have to realize who our enemy is. And, you know, it's been a horrible job in the Christian church of who's the enemies, who's our friends, who's our neighbor. There's no confusion in here in the Isupk. We know who our friends are. We know who our neighbors are because the Bible teaches us who our friends and who our neighbors and who our enemies are. The Bible teaches all of that. Your neighbor is your brother. Your brother is someone who is so-called black, Latino, or Native Indian. That's who your brother is. All 12 tribes of Israel. Your brother isn't a so-called white man. I don't care how kind and how, you know, good and smooth they talk. You understand? Matter of fact, let me get a precept on that. You know, this is all biblical what I'm talking about. These ain't my words. You understand? These ain't my words. These ain't Elijah Shah words. This is Psalms chapter 55, verse 20. You understand? He had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. Now, this is heavy right here. Let me read it again. I'm going to read it slow. He had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant. Oh my God. Do you realize how heavy this is? Think about when all these so-called white people came over here to America. And think about this demonic and satanic holiday called Thanksgiving. Think about how they got that holiday. They slaughtered the native Indian brothers and sisters by the millions. They scalped them. They starved them out. They made a damn buffalo be extinct so they couldn't even eat. So they wouldn't have any food supply. They gave them bedding, blankets with smallpox and diseases, and exterminated these people, exterminated my Gadite brothers and sisters as if it was nothing. But they made all these treaties and these peace treaties, and they shook hands. The native Indian brothers and sisters, the tribe of Gad, was trying to show our oppressor, you know, how you can live. It's good over here, everything good, we ain't tripping. But the Bible says this was our oppressor. He had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. They put forth his hands that was against those that were at peace with him. The Gadite brothers were at peace with the so-called white man when they broke all those treaties, when they unalived them, when they took their land, how they came up with this Thanksgiving. That I hate that holiday, man. I hate that holiday because every year that holiday comes up, it's a memorial to the death of some of our forefathers and foremothers, man. You understand? In Tribe of Judah, we big on celebrating that damn Thanksgiving. What if someone was celebrating every year what if it was a holiday just specifically, you know, when we were getting lynched? We wouldn't like that. We would understand that that's wrong, but because we choose the so-called white man's culture over our own, we don't have any compassion on anybody else but ourselves. And that's what we have to go to war with, and that's what we are being taught here inside of the Isupk. We have to go to war with our emotions. We have to go to war with our own feelings and with our own lusts. Because if we don't, our nation will continue to die miserably here in America, or wherever we're at, wherever we're scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. We will die miserably and live a horrible life, and our children would die and live a horrible life. You understand? That's why it's so important, man. But our Gadite brothers were kind to the so-called white man, and the so-called white man was acting as if they were kind to the so-called native Indians, the Gadites. They were acting like they were kind. They made all these treaties, all these peace treaties, and they broke every single one. Let me keep reading. He had broken his covenant. He had broken his covenant because the white man is the devil. That's what deceivers do. And when you hear the ISUPK say that the so-called white man is the devil, we're just talking about deceiver. That's what devil means. It's a deceiver. He deceived the native Indians to believe that they wasn't going to go to war, that everything was okay. And they broke every treaty and unalived and took over their land so they can establish America. You understand? That is being a devil. That is being a deceiver. Let me keep reading. Verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. And that's what I was saying. You might have some oppressor. They know how to talk. They know how to act like, you know, they're harmless. You ever watch, I watch a lot of those child predator shows, you know, Dateline, NBC. There's tons of different, you know, how to catch a predator shows today. And you look at some of those predators that hunt down young children and try to take advantage of them, they seem harmless. And when they get caught, for a second, if you didn't have any sense that, this adult predator was trying to take advantage of some young child, you would feel sorry for a lot of these because they look harmless. They look like that they're not going to do anything and harm anybody, but yet they are disgusting, they are vile, and they want to ruin someone else's life. That is American culture. That is how our oppressor thinks. They act one way, but in reality, they are a totally different way. You understand? And that's why we read in Ecclesiasticus, never trust thine enemy. Never trust your enemy. I don't care how good they talk. I don't care how many raises they give you at your job. I don't care how many bonuses you get on your check. I don't care how good they dance and sing and try to act like, hey, bro, hey, what's up, bro, or try to be like your best friend. Never trust thine enemy, because the trust that we had for the oppressor is the same reason why we are in the situation that we're in today. Let that sink in. We have to stop trusting all these different nations. We have to stop trusting our oppressor. You understand? We have to stop trusting them, man. Our life may depend on it one day. It may depend on it. Let me keep reading. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. The Bible said, but war was in his heart. War was in his heart. War was in his heart. War is in his heart. Your heart is your mind. War is in the hearts and minds of the so-called white man. War, not peace, not brotherly love. How do you think our oppressor was able to conquer and establish the strongest, mightiest country here on earth? Is it because they were nice? Is it because everyone was friends with them? No. They went around and conquered and unalived and devoured and raped, robbed, and murdered and stole everything. Everything. And this is the nation who we want to be like? A nation full of thieves, a nation full of murderers, a nation full of rapists and child molesters, a nation full of whores and drug dealers. This is the nation who we want to be like. This is the nation. Let me read this again. Verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil. Yet were they drawn swords. Yet were they drawn swords. And that's all the so-called white man has done. You've seen them draw swords in Alabama. You've seen them draw swords on 9/11. And what's funny about 9/11, right? They tell blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians they want us to get over slavery. They want us to get over slavery. It's the past, get over it, it's old. But when 9/11 happened, they still remember 9/11 every year. You understand? They still remember 9/11. How about, the Jewish men and women in Nazi Germany? They are still arresting anyone who had anything to do with any concentration camp when Adolf Hitler was in authority, when he was in rulership, when he was unaliving all those Jewish people. But yet, when it comes to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we have to forget our past. We have to forget our past. When we serve when we serve other gods, the strength that we have, the compassion that we have becomes our weakness. And we have to understand that. And what do I mean by that? The strength that we have becomes our weakness. Think about it. Think about what I'm saying. Because we are God's chosen people. It says in Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. You understand that we're a special and holy people. We're to be separated. So all this love and compassion and generosity that we have naturally because we're God's chosen people and we're stronger, when we serve other nations, our strengths becomes their strengths. And it doesn't become the strengths of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. It doesn't become the strengths for us. It becomes the strength for them because we're serving them and they are our power. But when we serve the Most High God, brother, when we serve the Most High God, sister, our strengths become our own. And that's what the Most High God wants for us. He wants our strengths to become our own. He doesn't want us giving our strength to the so-called white man. He doesn't want us giving our strength to the so-called Arab man or the so-called Chinese or the Africans. That's not where our strength should be going. Our strength should be given to our own. Our strength should be given to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We are the ones that need it, man. We're the ones that need it. They don't need it. Hell, they have everything. They have all the strength they need. I believe they have, hell, the so-called white man has all these different branches of the military. They have the Marines. They have the Navy. They have the Army. Hell, now they got a goddamn Space Force. They said they ready to kill shit out of space for the sake of white people. But here we are, unaliving each other. Here we are, talking down on each other. Here we are, praising and worshiping the so-called white man. And yet, they won't come and defend you. They won't come and defend you or rescue you. How do I know? I believe only 2 years ago, they just started looking for Native Indian women who were missing from the reservations. Only 2 years ago. Maybe three. Maybe. Three max. Three max. How many black, Hispanic, and Native Indian children come up missing when white girls have Amber Alert? That's where the term came from, a little white girl named Amber. They don't have a Keisha Alert. You understand? They don't have a Keisha Alert. They got an Amber Alert, though. You know, we'll get to you when we can, but, you know, Amber is going to come first. And that's how we should think for our own. And that's what the ISUPK is trying to teach blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. To think and put ourselves first before we put another nation first. You understand? But right here in this verse, man, it says that that you know, our oppressor, his words were smoother than butter. Smoother than butter. Smoother than butter. I want to get another precept, man. Let me go to Job. I got tons of precepts I wanted to bring out. I know I was ranting on. I know you're going to say Elijah Shot talk too damn much. But, you know, I wanted to really big up those brothers in Alabama. I know that, you know, it's going to be you know, nowadays, Salakia, you know, nowadays, you know, things really don't last too long these days. You know what I mean? Everything is just so fast and it happens so fast. And, you know, news today is like, you know, it lasts for what, 10, 15 seconds? So I just wanted to big up those brothers and sisters that had the courage and showed tremendous courage in defending the brother when he was being attacked by a mob of vicious white people. I just wanted to thank those brothers and sisters, man, because it was glorious in my sight. I don't know how many times I watched the video, but I'm going to watch it some more. Matter of fact, I'm going to download it on my phone. I'm going to have it in my personal file. You understand? I'm going to keep that thing in my personal file. This is something we all need to remember. And the reason we need to remember this and why it's so important and significant in these days and time is because you hardly ever see anything like this. Ever. You understand? Ever. We ever do. Hardly ever do. But let me go to this next precept. This is Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? The earth was given into the hand of the wicked. So this is just proving more of who the wicked is in the earth. Now, this is the question that has to be answered when it's talking about the wicked. Right now, today, who is in rulership in the earth? What nation of people are in rulership? Anybody want to take a guess? What nation of people are in rulership today? And if you're honest with yourself, man, if you're paying attention as to what's going on in the earth, you would understand that the so-called white man is in rulership today. You understand? The so-called white man is in rulership. There's no way that you can argue that the so-called white man is not in rulership. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. The earth was given into them. They rule everything. They have the best, they have the best country. Every country's trying to get here to America. You understand? No country, nobody's trying to rush to go to a third world country. I mean, you got Negroes today trying to rush and go to Africa. That's because, they just choosing another oppressor that they feel is a better fit to oppress them versus the so-called white man. The Africans are not going to do anything different. They're not going to change. You're going to be oppressed by Africans. You're just not going to be oppressed by the so-called white man because Africans are not our people. But, Russia, America, Ukraine, Germany, France, Great Britain, anywhere where so-called white people are, they are in rulership. In the entire earth. They dominate the entire earth. So when the Bible says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, it's just showing you who's in rulership in the earth. And the so-called white man is in rulership. So according to the Bible, that means that they are the wicked according to the earth. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. They don't judge righteously. They don't do anything righteously. They cover the faces of the judges. You understand? You know how many judges have been bought out? You know how many, they say you can go to trial and get a fair trial, but our oppressor can be bought when it comes to righteousness. Their righteousness is weighed on how much profit they make, not on morals, not on standards, not on laws, statutes, and commandments given to the children of Israel by the so-called Salakia, by the Most High God. Not by that. Their morals, values, and principles come from how much they take and how much they benefit in the earth. And that's why the earth was given into the hand of the wicked, because we, as Israelites, wanted to serve the wicked. So it was given to the wicked. You understand? And one more point before I move on and keep reading, that the so-called white man covereth the face of the greatest judge to ever walk the earth. Think about Christ. All our life we was told that Jesus Christ was a so-called white man, and he's coming back to judge the entire earth. So in our minds, when we're Christian, Jesus Christ is coming back to, a white man is coming back to judge the earth to tell you if you have been a good little boy or a bad little boy. We've been taught that our whole life, right? When according to the Bible, Jesus is a so-called black man. He's a nigga like me, and like most of, like all of us, like all Latinos, Native, Salakia, like all so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. He had woolly hair, like me. He's a so-called black man. He was darker than me. He was a few shades darker than me. But however, he was a so-called black man. But they painted Christ as a so-called white man who's going to come back and judge the earth and let you know if you've been good or being bad. And then if you was good, you get to sit on the clouds with little naked baby white angels for the rest of your life, eating s'mores or whatever the hell they do in the white man's kingdom of heaven. I don't know. Eat s'mores and what's that game that they playing? Play pinochle or whatever white sports that they're good in the white kingdom. That's what they're gonna do. Whatever sports white people are good at, that's what they're gonna be doing in the white man's kingdom of heaven. You understand? Foosball. They're gonna be playing foosball, Bobby. They're gonna be playing foosball. They're gonna be eating s'mores, and they're gonna be singing horrible music in the white man's kingdom of heaven, which is a lie. There's no white man kingdom of heaven. The white man's not going to be in heaven in the kingdom of heaven, the real kingdom of heaven. But the point being is that they painted the greatest man to ever walk the face of the earth as a so-called white man who's going to come back and judge and tell you if you've been a good little boy or a bad little boy. Does it sound familiar? You understand? I mean, it sounds like Santa Claus. It's going to come back and tell you, you know, have you been a good boy all year? You've been a bad boy all year. Or you can get some gifts. Because the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. Let me keep reading. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? If it's not the so-called white man, if the so-called white man isn't the wicked in the earth, where and who is it then? If it's not them, who is it? Who else painted Jesus to be a so-called white man? Who else is dominating the earth in everything, in military, and in their economy, and money, and everything? Who else is it? If it's not him, anybody want to answer that question? Who doesn't believe that it's the so-called white man? If it's not him, who is it? I mean, let me know. You feel me? Like, let me know who it is. You know, I know a lot of nuts, fake Israelites, they believe that the wicked is the Arab, or Esau is the, you know, the Arabs, and they haven't proved that. They haven't been able to prove that since that stupid doctrine came out. They haven't. But the Bible is, you know, the Bible is, you know, you can't, the Bible is, you know, you can't contend with the Bible. It's another precept that I want to go right after that. I always lose this precept. I wanted to pull this too, man. It was right on the tip of my tongue. Hold on one second. Let me look it up. One second. Alright, I got it. This is Job chapter 12. I'm going to start at verse 6. It says, the tabernacles of robbers prosper. The tabernacles of robbers prosper. Now, keep in mind that the earth was given into the hand of wicked. How did the so-called white man gain all this wealth? And the Bible says the tabernacles of robbers prosper. They prosper when they're wicked. If we continue to be wicked, we don't prosper. If we continue to rob, if we continue to steal, if we continue to cheat, if we continue to sell drugs, we're going to jail. But our oppressor, nothing he's done to us. He's robbed us for our identity, for one. He's robbed us for all our wealth. He's robbed the Native Indians for their land. They robbed the Isukarites, the Mexicans, for their land, and they are prosperous. They don't get judged. They don't go to jail. They don't go to prison. They're prosperous. You understand? This is so we can understand who the wicked is. So it says the tabernacles of robbers prosper, and they that provoke the Most High are secure. They provoke the Most High. Like I was saying in Job 9:24, they painted the greatest man to ever walk the earth as a so-called white man, Caesar Borgia. And Jesus, Yahushua, is a so-called black man, but they painted him as some rapist, some child molester who slept with his sister, Caesar Borgia. That depiction that they created of Jesus is a real person. His name is Caesar Borgia. You can look it up. And they were one of the first crime families to ever be in the earth. Why would you paint the greatest man to ever walk the earth as someone so vile and disgusting and cruel, who was a rapist? He slept with his sister and he believed in incest, when none of that's biblical. You want to know why? It's because they provoke the Most High God and are secure into whose hand the Most High bring it abundantly. What they don't realize is that the Lord allows them to do this. You understand? The Lord allows them to do this. But they're not always going to be in power. If I had enough time, I could bring out scriptures to show you how their kingdom is going to fall and how our kingdom is going to be built up. You understand? The Lord allowed this simply because we were disobedient. We didn't want to serve the Lord. You understand? Let me keep reading though, because that's not my point. Verse 7. But ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee. Ask the beast, and they shall teach thee. And the fowls of the air, and they shall teach thee. Right? Verse 8. Or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee. And the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. Verse 9. Who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this? So it's asking, this is breaking down, this is telling you, ask the earth. You understand? Salaki. But ask the beast who the wicked is. There are animals that are extinct because the so-called white man is greedy. Ask the beast how the robbers prosper. Ask the beast how they are the wicked. They're extinct animals. The animals even know. They go poaching, they go killing, they eat everything that they can get their hands on. They devour and unalive everything they touch. Ask the beast. If you don't believe me, ask the beast. If you don't want to believe the Isupk, ask the beast. Go ask the dodo bird. Oh, you can't ask the dodo bird because the goddamn bird's extinct. Because we have a horrible and wicked leader who rules the earth. Let me keep reading. And they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall teach thee. Ask the fowls of the air. Hell, here, I remember being young. You know, I've never seen hawks and eagles and owls in the hood. But because the so-called white man is so greedy, they, you know, destroy the natural habitation of all the animals. Look at all the pollution. Look at all the filth and grime and pollution that they put in the earth. Remember when COVID hit and the earth finally had a chance to rest? They said the air quality was up. The air quality was better because the white man's the devil. Let me keep reading. And ask, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. Verse 8. Or speak to the earth. Like I said, all the pollution. Ask the earth. Ask the earth if it's in good shape. They're constantly drilling oil. They're constantly, you know, building and blowing up stuff. They're constantly doing things that are unnatural even in the earth. Let me keep reading. And it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. Fishes, all these oil spills, all this pollution in the earth, like I was saying. All these things understand who the devil is, who the wicked is. All of it. The earth, the fishes, the beast. But for some reason, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we don't even consider it. We don't even think about it. We don't know because we don't want to know. You understand? But for that split second, for those few minutes down there in Alabama, I give those brothers and sisters a hand because they knew exactly who the wicked was that day. And that 16-year-old swam over there to defend his brother. And if you want to learn how to defend your nation, if you want to learn how to separate yourself from wickedness, get inside of some of these classes inside of the Isupk under Commander Junior Hana. Because what you've seen those brothers and sisters doing in Alabama is how we live our life every day for our nation. And that's what it's going to take to build blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians up. And with that, I'm Adjum, just me. Isupk security announcements. We are the Isupk, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which a brother or sister will court each other. After the 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18 verse 21, Malachi chapter 3 verses 8 through 10, means tenth in the Hebrew, Asherah. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations, what is the Feast of Tabernacle? It will be in the UK. I don't have the flyer on me, so I don't have the exact dates. So remind Akim and Akwat to check the bulletin board in the hallway if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school to start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, or war scarf. And with that, class is dismissed.